Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality, and Vern Glenn from CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco.
Hello.
Hello. In each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Now, before we actually really start, you have a kind of a fun clip on.
Well, I mean, it's the time of the Final Four, and we know that Michigan State pulled off this huge upset over top-ranked Duke in the Elite Eight round. And locally, we follow the Golden State Warriors out here. They're the top seed in the Western Conference, and Draymond Green is probably one of the recently the more famous alums of Michigan State, and he just happens to have a teammate, Quinn Cook, who was an outstanding guard for Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. So when Michigan State beat Duke, Draymond Green kind of went after Quinn Cook via Instagram Live.
Here it's going to come.
Yeah, it's both.
What's up, G? Hey, what's up, man? Hey, Instagram Live want to know how you doing. I don't even do Instagram Live, but they want to know how you doing. You know?
So there you go. A little snippet of that as Quinn Cook kind of had to eat it as Michigan State will roll on and they play Texas Tech for the right to get to the NCAA final. The other racket will be my Virginia Cavaliers.
All right,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
That's exciting.
Going up against the Auburn Tigers.
All right, so what we're going to do is when we get back from break, we're going to have a special guest, Russell Jackman, a.k.a. Buddy Sotelo, who's been with us before. He's talking about wrestling because big WrestleMania is coming up. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by...
Is he our version of Mean Gene?
That's exactly what it is. Okay.
All
right.
This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding over 7.5% secured by real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
You talk to Rich again.
All right, man.
A little while.
All right.
Yes. Horse racing.
I was going to ask you during the segment if you have seen the movie Fighting with My Family.
I saw it.
Oh, great. Yeah, I went to a screening, so I thought it was terrific.
It was very well.
I was shocked to see Lena Headey.
Oh,
playing
really?
the role of the mom because I'm one of those guys that watches Game of Thrones. So when I saw her in the role of the mom, looking like that,
really well
I was like,
she was really
whoa.
well cast. In fact, everybody was. The guy that's the friend of Simon Pegg's, the big fat guy. I forget his name.
The dad in the movie?
Yeah. He's exactly like the guy that
he's in a show I watched called Into the Badlands.
Yes.
It's a little martial arts thing. So I saw him, I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, but he looked so much like the
real white guy. Yeah, and I like how at the end of the movie they show the actual people.
Yeah, like when she was leaving from the airport. Yeah, that was really.
You guys saw Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's amazing how the likeness of all of them.
Yes.
They did that was a great movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah,
good seeing you.
So, are we going to be able to call Eric then?
Well, I've got this for Eric, but what time does he want us to call?
I told
10,
him that
right?
I said that we call between 9:30 and 10.
Okay.
So it's whenever I think he's waiting for us to call him. Basically.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Whenever you want to.
How do you want to? We have the 4 mics. I don't have to talk that much myself. You mostly the one.
Does he get this? Oh, that might's for
that. Yeah.
So he gets.
Do you guys want to share a little bit?
I'm not contagious.
Okay. What's Eric's number? Let me write this down here. All right. Hey, by the way, thanks guys for flexibility of coming early. I really appreciate this.
If you knew how tough it was traffic-wise,
I can only imagine.
Double appreciate. See, everyone that lives south of San Rafael thinks that there's no traffic to get here, and on 90 at 90.
Let's get this number. I got to get this conference call. I got to get it at 11. So
okay.
Sorry for rushing everybody.
Oh, here he is. 1310 345 7912.
It's Eric Shaw.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see if I can get him. Here's your headset. And again, the only reason you have the headset is so that you can know.
Hey, Eric.
Oh, tell him we're gonna call him.
Yeah, we're about to call you in like 1 second here. Edward's gonna call you. Okay, yeah, he'll call you right now. Great, thanks.
Okay, so remember, the only reason you put the headset is so that you talk into the mic like this.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Swallow the mic.
I think I know the answer to this, but I don't think Bruce or you saw the movie Fighting with My Family.
No, not yet.
It is worth watching.
Eric?
Yes.
Hi, it's Edward Brown. We got Russell Jackman, of course, you know, and our other two co-hosts here, Bruce McGowan, who's a longtime sports radio personality, and Vern Glenn from Channel 5, KPIX in San Francisco.
Great.
In fact, I met you once or twice actually, when I went to one of Jeff Lerman's events with you in San Francisco.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I remember specifically you talking about the fact that you would hire wrestlers to collect rents for you, right?
No. I support appointed receiver. Owners never hand you the keys without a.
Ah, gotcha.
I was getting a half a dozen Russes me for security.
Yeah, that's a real fun. Okay, that'll be kind of a fun story to talk about.
That's funny.
So the reason we're having Russell on specifically, and I guess you too, it has to do with the fact that there's a big WrestleMania coming up.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So and we also want to talk about our show that we're going to be doing in August.
Exactly.
Is it WrestleMania 35? Is it 35?
35.
35.
Makes me sound
Okay, so
old,
just
and I'm not that
yeah.
old.
I know.
I remember covering 33 at Levi's Stadium.
I was at WrestleMania 2 in person.
Really?
Yeah. I was,
So was I. Wait. One or two I was at. Because on my birthday, March 31st.
Yeah, no, you were probably at 2 because that's down in LA. That one was down in LA.
Yeah. It's on my birthday.
Okay, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn. And we actually have two guests, one in the studio and one on the phone. Russell Jackman, a.k.a. Buddy Sotelo, who is a wrestling manager. Is that fair enough?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
And then on the phone, we have Eric. I'll let you introduce Eric.
Well, Eric Shaw is a promoter, and I'm working with him to do a show here in San Francisco that later this year that's going to benefit the military in a show that we're going to call Military Rock. And Eric can explain more about that. We're going to collaborate between Southern California and Northern California for the first time in years. It's pretty exciting.
If I may jump in, we like to call this, for our listeners out there, alternate programming this day of the NCAA semi-final games.
That's true. Wrestling doesn't quite reach into there, but I'm sure you'll have a few listeners that want to know about it.
Yeah, and Eric, we were talking off air about how you and I met at an event, and you had mentioned how you kind of got involved with these wrestlers because of being a receiver, and I think it's kind of a fun story. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience?
Well, actually, let me back up and say I got into the wrestling in 1986. I'm a hippie from the 60s, and I had my favorite rock band from Woodstock play in my backyard in Marina del Rey in 84, 85, and 86. But in 86, because I was into wrestling, I put a wrestling ring in my front yard and had canned heat. Woodstock, right?
I remember that, I'm sure.
They're playing at the 50th anniversary. So in 86, I had a wrestling ring in the front yard, canned heat in the backyard, and I coined the term wrestle rock, wrestling and rock and roll. So I had the heavy metal band Wasp, Sha-Na-Na, the 50th band. I said, it's fun. Why don't I make it a show and do the military? So from 87 to 1994, I played up and down the coast, all the military bases. It was a hobby. It wasn't a business. I enjoyed it. I was a bachelor, had a good time.
Did you have a mullet at the time? Party in the front and the back?
That's it. I have pictures of it. And by the way, when you ever see these videos, I have a video on this. I was announcing in the ring, and I said, look over here. And I was pointing to a friend of mine. It was September 13th, 1986. And in 2 days, my friend over there is going to become a big star. And that person turned out to be Corbin Burnson.
Oh, yeah. LA Law, sure.
Right?
And Major League.
And Major League, yeah.
Absolutely.
At Major League, that's correct, right? His whole family was into that. But also my nickname, I'm in all the wrestling magazines from 87 to 94, and I was considered the self-proclaimed Bob Hope of professional wrestling. That was Monica.
Were you good at the one-liners like Bob?
Yeah. So now we put it on hold, and I have my other two companies, a company called New York Credit and a networking group where I met you called All Cities.
Uh-huh.
And I started that in '92. Every time I would tell people in my elevator pitch, I'm New York Credit, I'm All City, but I'm also a wrestling promoter. People would laugh. How do I make that into a business? And I said, well, I need bodyguards. As a court-appointed receiver, I get hired by the courts to take over companies, run them, sell them, close them down, take over properties, manage them, collect rents, and sell them. But how do I do that if I'm not a property manager? That's why I started my networking group, because any line item on a balance sheet of profit and loss can be handled by somebody in all cities. But as a humorous note, as a court-appointed receiver, nobody hands me the keys without a fight if I take over their company or their properties.
Yeah.
So I always bring a half a dozen Russes with me for security. Don't want to be messed around, and I film it. The irony is, I have an entertainment networking group. Somebody said, Eric, let's make a script out of this. Let's put it on TV. Yeah, but I only do 3 receivers a year. That's okay. I got a pen. We can write whatever we want. That was the moniker for the last 25 years as a wrestling promoter, and now I decided I'm 68 years old. It's time to give back. And I wanted to start giving back to charities, veterans, homeless, pets, because I'm very big into that. And this is my way now at 68 years old to start giving back. So my mixers are wrestling shows.
Well, let me ask you, how much did you have to pay the wrestlers to be your bodyguards?
Nothing, they were my friends.
Ah, okay. And did you ever have any incidences with companies that were not easily giving up their keys?
100%. All right. I got to tell you that when you try to break into a warehouse, 100,000 square foot warehouse, the cops come all the time. Well, you'll see helicopters up above. So that's why you do it, and that's how I got the wrestlers to be that way.
I'd love for either one of you to comment on this, or in studio guest and you, as to the not so much the cult following that professional wrestling has, but are you blown away even after all these years by the seemingly the mainstream popularity that it has, even though it doesn't generate the revenue of the big 3 sports? Hell, even Netflix has a show called Glow for the Glorious Ladies of Wrestling, which just finished its 2nd season. That's popular. And then we have the mainstream or the big screen. We have Fighting with My Family, which is a really good, feel-good, surprisingly date movie based on the true story of the first great diva.
Right. Well, if you notice, all like WWE or any other federation, there's a couple of other ones not quite as big as WWE. How do you think outside the box? Just like Ms. and Mrs. Right? They create shows, but they have a pen.
Yeah, and one thing that I think makes wrestling still so popular is it was always a very popular thing, especially when the early days of television was going on. In a lot of ways, it's not that expensive to produce, although Vince McMahon has made it an expensive production.
Right.
But it's got the drama element of it. It's got a soap opera element to it. And, of course, what America always loves, plenty of violence.
Oh, Macho Man.
Yeah, and I think it's so well drawn up, I guess, on the board. The arc of the story from beginning to end. Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter, talked about how, we are telling a story here. We have villains, we have heroes, and it's a terrific arc that the people have not just bought into, but they have eaten it up like fast food.
How often do you get a good guy versus a good guy?
It happens. I mean, in fact, I'd say now those lines are a lot more blurred because there isn't that sort of character-based wrestling like there used to be.
Well, I remember Hulk Hogan was a bad guy to begin with when he first came out because of the Rocky movie, and then he became a good guy.
Oh, yeah. And guys change their personalities all the time. But it was different in the 80s and the 90s when you had a lot of sort of character-based wrestling where, some guy would be like Sergeant Slaughter and he would go up against the Iron Sheik. So
Yeah,
you know, as soon as you look at him, which one would be the good guy and which guy would be the bad guy,
I
right?
wonder if guys, did they ever like argue? Go, wait, I don't want to be a bad guy this time.
They sure do.
Yeah.
They sure do. And so there's a lot of ego involved in it, and guys don't necessarily.
You gotta remember.
Oh yeah.
What makes the wrestling show? It's the guy with the pen.
Oh yeah.
Always play to your audience at every show. If the audience wants this, give them something else to piss them off. Wrestling is so successful, but the one thing that wrestling doesn't do anymore, you don't see blood.
Yeah.
It's
You don't
pretty
see
much forgotten.
violence
Yeah.
anymore.
Huh.
Well, because of AIDS and because of other communicable.
Did you guys still hit each other with folding chairs? And stuff?
Not that much either. The concussion thing is a big deal, and guys are really trying to stay away from that sort of
Hey,
stuff.
you guys stay with us. Eric, stay with us. We got to cut to a commercial break. I forgot to mention that we're going to talk. Our trivia theme is tough sports questions. We'll see how well you guys know this. All right. And Eric, if you know the answer, don't say anything until we get back because we want to see if the audience knows. All right. Okay. Which sport uses techniques of one of three styles: the glide, the spin, and the cartwheel? What sport uses techniques of one of three styles: the glide, the spin, and the cartwheel? All right. Each person has, I guess, his or her own preference. All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with our special guest, Buddy Sotelo, aka Russell Jackman. No, flip that around. Russell Jackman, Jackman, aka Buddy Sotelo, and Eric Shaw. All right. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, the word piss is probably okay, but I accidentally forgot to tell our guest last time we can't have any swear words because the FCC.
Oh yeah.
And I had to figure out how to blink it out, and that was difficult. So you're fine.
We don't work blue.
I think there's only 3 words you can't use now.
Yeah.
Shit, fuck, and piss.
Yeah.
I can actually use shit now.
But don't do it because we're on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. You can't use SHITFUCK and PISS.
You can't use that?
I don't think so.
No,
I
that's what
don't think you can
it
use
said.
After 10 p.m. after 10 p.m. at night, you can now use the S word.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because if you see like stuff that's from like on cable, the stuff that's from England, you know, they allow the S word all the time. Gordon Ramsay just sings it on out from the stuff that they show from. So Eric, in the next segment, if you can talk about the show and the dates and what we're going to be doing for the next show, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Sure.
Great,
Right.
thank you.
Okay. All right. And thanks again for joining us too. Appreciate it. Okay.
No, this is great.
All right.
And hopefully we'll get to do another one right before the show is ready to go. And we're looking at August, right?
Yeah, we can figure out a time.
But August 10th is my show down in Culver City over here at Veterans Auditorium. I'm
What-
going to go check out the venue Thursday, sign a contract there for the second show.
Okay, so we don't know when that's going to be though. When
We
the
have time
second show's
between now
going to
and then.
So Thursday or Friday.
You let me know when you want to go back on.
be. Great.
Okay, guys, ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Over.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan, and our two special guests, Russell Jackman, aka, I always have to say aka Buddy Sotelo, and Eric Shaw. All right, first trivia question was, which sport uses techniques of one of three styles: the glide, the spin, and the cartwheel?
Oh, gymnastics?
I'm going to guess
Yeah.
figure skating.
No?
And I was going to say biking.
No? Shot put.
Oh my God. Cartwheel?
I know.
okay.
I
Cartwheel?
don't think it's a
Those-
cartwheel. I don't think it's a true cartwheel.
No.
Because there's no way you can do
Not-
that.
I would-
But that's what they call it.
You got us on that one.
Yeah. Okay. And but the next two questions are going to be kind of hard too, but that's okay. These guys always know the answer, so we have to kind of.
Sometimes.
do
like
it.
that one.
Not
All
that
right. So Russell, why don't you we're going to ask Eric a question on.
Well, yeah. Well, one of the things is that we're now working as a collaborative unit. He has not. Eric hasn't done a lot of shows up in Northern California. We haven't done a lot of shows with Wrestling for Charity with anyone down in Southern California. So it's a unique thing where two charitably based wrestling groups are going to collaborate together.
And is wrestling big up here in the Bay Area? Because I know it's really big in other parts of the country.
It has been. We do have a tremendous history here in the Bay Area with the Roy Shire promotions. A lot of people remember big time wrestling in the
Big
70s.
time wrestling. Yeah.
And then for a long time, the AWA was very big. The American Wrestling Alliance was very big at the Cow Palace. But when the AWA went out of business, and so did WCW, the WWE, which is now the #1 wrestling federation, doesn't do a lot of shows here in the Bay Area. They do one in a couple a year. And so we're trying to fill that gap and provide some high-level wrestling for people here in the Bay Area, with also the ability to donate that money to charity. Because if you just saw recently, there was an expose done on Craig Oliver just did a segment on I think it was called the Tomorrow Show or whatever, the show that he has, where he was talking about how Vince McMahon doesn't pay for any of the wrestlers at all. They're all still considered independent contractors. And then it's very unfair to these folks that they have to pay the burden. The employees much have to pay the burden of their health care, and they have no job security.
Well, if they get paid enough, then they can afford to pay that.
You'd be surprised how little a lot of the rank and file wrestlers get paid.
Okay, I guess if they're a big name, then they can kind of go on the others like signing of autographs and stuff like that. Now, I got a question for you. Rocky Johnson was my favorite wrestler when I was a kid.
The Soul Man.
Yeah, and his son is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And if I remember correctly, Rocky Johnson used to spar with Muhammad Ali because he was a boxer. So my question is, if the two of them got in the ring, who would win?
Well, we've seen that a lot with the Ultimate Fighting Championship sort of stuff, that boxers have a significant disadvantage towards wrestlers because they can't use their feet. They don't know how to use holds or anything like that. They just know how to punch. And that's not quite the discipline. Most wrestlers, I would say, would be very hard to knock out with a single punch because they're.
But I mean, Rocky was a wrestler.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right? I mean,
That was all based, by the way, on a situation that happened between Gorilla Monsoon and Muhammad Ali, where Muhammad Ali, you check it out on YouTube, got into the ring with Gorilla Monsoon.
I remember that one. That was the exhibition match, and once they started, because Muhammad Ali thought, okay, we're just gonna kind of joke around here for a few rounds or whatever. It started, and this guy immediately, bam, was on the mat. And with an attempt to take Muhammad Ali down, and Muhammad Ali thought, well, we were just going to spar, and it just looked weird.
Sort of like
that was the Antonio.
Like
sorry to interrupt, but that was the Antonio Inoki match. It was the guy from Japan, and all he did was lay on his back and kick Muhammad Ali in the knees.
Right.
And Muhammad Ali wound up having to have his knee drained because he had such a big bruise on there. But actually, if you go and check out Muhammad Ali versus Gorilla Monsoon. Muhammad Ali was in the audience. He got into a shouting match with Gorilla Monsoon. He got into the ring. He started to do some jabs at Gorilla Monsoon. Gorilla grabs his arm, puts him over his shoulder, does an airplane spin with him, and then throws him down on the mat, and pretty much could have just squashed him right there. And his handlers get Muhammad Ali out of the ring.
Was that staged?
Unscripted?
It seemed I would not know why Muhammad Ali, who had a pretty big ego, would want to be tossed around like that by Gorilla Monsoon.
How big was Gorilla Monsoon?
He was like, at that time, he was nearly 500 pounds.
Jeez.
Those guys.
Check it out on YouTube. You'll find it.
I remember when the Yoki
times two.
Yeah, I remember when the Yoki Ali match went on that Howard Cosell, of all people, was commentating. And Howard Cosell later in his memoir said, "A dreadful fiasco."
You do a great Howard Cosell.
I just got interrupted by a Sola King commercial.
Eric, you got any fun stories for us? We got a couple minutes here.
Notice you're bringing celebrities in. And that's what my new show is all about. Because when you look at some of the shows in San Francisco, they're not filling up arenas. They'll get 100 people at $20 a ticket, $25 a ticket. Okay, what I want my show to be from my networking organization is I want business professionals, bankers, lenders, lawyers, CPAs to come to sponsor, meet and greet a networking event as a mixer for 2 hours, and then you see a wrestling show. And those are the people, if you bring them in, they have the money, and then you can donate to charity. That's the difference in my show, and I bring the celebrities in.
How many people in the audience do you expect for that kind of show?
I was, let's take this one step. Remember I said to you, I want to give back. Charity was one thing, but I looked around my networking group and I saw gray hair, little hair, no hair. What's the future? And I started going to the alumni associations of colleges. Pepperdine, the MBA program, is now 100% behind my show. They are promoting it throughout the college. All right, and we're talking 70% of the MBA people are foreigners, Asians. They come from money because if you spend $80,000 tuition 1 year, you have money. And these guys, you'll start to check me out on my internet, on LinkedIn, Facebook. You'll see all these MBA graduates touting what we're doing. And you get the donors to come, the head people of the colleges. Hey, I want to be donating to the veterans. There's a difference of how you do it. And Vince, I looked at Vince as my mentor. There's a guy that saw the bigger picture. And that's why he succeeded over everybody else.
Well, the thing that you have that's interesting is, again, you're doing the veterans. It's not just a, I'm just thinking that because wrestling, it's almost like bowling and pool. It's thought of by the general public as sort of a lower type of.
Exactly.
And so you're bringing it up.
So how do you change it? And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to fall into it. If all goes well, and in my show, every veteran comes in for free. And I've been contacting all the veterans associations. Let's say I get 200 veterans. I think I'm going to get 200 to 300 MBA graduates or people from Pepperdine. And then I'm going to wind up selling 200 tickets to my networking groups. There's a good chance I can get 500, 800. And when I say this, I learned this in business. Always give the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
If there's anything above that, you're a hero.
And which are you? Which named known wrestlers are you going to have?
My known wrestlers?
Yeah, people that the average person might know.
Yeah. Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam, who is known as RVD.
RVD.
Mr. Monday Night.
Right now, when he comes to my networking group, he got a favor. You don't think every businessman wants to meet him?
If they know who he is, absolutely.
He's a big guy. I guess.
Yeah. Your neighbor is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay. Now that name I know.
Yeah. Now I'm hoping he comes. Here's another guy, Rick. This is important to your fans out over there. Rick Drazen is body double or logo for Gold's Gym. He worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
He was a wrestler. He's 74 now. He's got a podcast called Rick's Corner.
Well, how about the great Khalid? Did you have him?
Yeah, Dalip Singh is a guy that I managed a long time ago, but he's back in India. I don't think he's going to be coming out. Yeah, he now runs a wrestling school in India, of all places. And if you saw what he was like in the ring, you'd wonder why he'd be teaching wrestling, but still.
What do you mean?
Oh, he's pretty stiff.
Okay, but I mean, he's still he's one of the few huge Indians that you see.
Oh, absolutely. He's a bodybuilder before he came to the United States, but his he's not really known for his wrestling skill. He was known for his size. You know what I mean?
When you're that big, you can get away with it.
Exactly.
And to localize a little bit more, because that's what I do from where we do this show. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, born in Hayward, California.
Is that right?
Bay Area born guy.
I love that guy.
Can you smell what The Rock?
And he was really great in fighting my family. I thought he was really good in that.
All right, hey guys, you know what? Another commercial break. All right, stay with us, Eric. Okay, which sport did a TV commentator say in the 2008 Beijing Olympics? If history repeats itself, I think we can expect the same thing again. and no, it's not Yogi Berra.
Yeah, it sounds like Yogi Berra.
All right. So, which sport did a TV commentator say in the 2008 Beijing Olympics? If history repeats itself, I should think we can expect the same thing again. All right, that's our trivia question. I told you these are pretty hard. I had to come up with some kind of oddball.
I haven't a clue.
You have any clue?
No,
I really think that at some point in time that Yogi Berra did say it's like deja vu all over.
Yes,
again.
that he did. Okay, all right, stay with us. It'll be deja vu all over again when we return. All right. Okay, this is good stuff, guys.
Nothing moves faster than being on your show, man. You are the fastest,
gotta.
Because he's got a very important conference call at 11 o'clock.
Well, it's not just that, but we're on hard breaks, so I have to follow the clock.
Follow the clock.
All
You guys
over.
ever hear of the Cauliflower Alley Club?
Yeah, I have. I've been to the Cauliflower Alley
Hear of that now.
Club myself.
Problem with all the old time wrestlers. They don't want to go anymore because so many wrestlers have died.
Mm.
They can't walk. They've got bad knees, and they die young.
Mm. Not like football players.
Right? That's the problem right now in
Yeah.
wrestling, and that's what people don't realize. You can't live forever as a wrestler.
Yeah, it sounds like football. I mean, the same kind of injuries.
Yeah. Let's talk
But
about that. That's
It's
kinda
not
interesting
just
stuff.
the injuries, and this is something I would like to talk about. It's the lack of fame
Yeah.
that drives these guys insane.
The lack of fame.
The lack of fame.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
a bigger drug than cocaine or heroin is fame.
Yeah.
Well,
Trust me on
they're sort of cult figures. So
Yes.
you know,
And unfortunately, my friend Crash Holly
nobody likes to be a
committed
cult.
suicide
Nobody likes to be a cult figure.
when he was let go from the WWE.
That's a nice way of saying that not too many people know who you are.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
Remember Dr. D. David Schultz?
Very much so, unfortunately. Yes.
He wrestled for me.
Oh, boy.
Show.
Whatever happened to Bearcat Wright?
He's dead.
Is he dead?
Oh,
How about Ray Stevens?
Pat Patterson.
Pat Patterson's still around.
Is he really?
Red
Yes.
Red Bass.
Red died 2 years ago.
How about Rufus R. Jones?
Dead.
Haystack Calhoun.
Dead.
Black Jack
Moondog
Mulligan.
Maine.
Dead like 3 years
Oh,
ago.
my
Mitchie Shibuya and
Oh,
Mitsu Awa-
Kenji Shibuya.
Kenji
You guys
Shibuya
are-
and Mitsu Awakawa.
You guys are really like uncorking the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. The Great Mephisto.
Yeah.
Dead. Mr.
Yeah.
Fuji, dead.
Mr. Fuji. Oh.
Mr.
Wahoo
Saito,
McDaniel.
Wahoo McDaniel.
dead.
Moondog
man.
Maine.
If he's not dead, he probably wishes he was.
Ray Stevens is dead. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was a big,
Remember, Ray Stevens always used to talk out of the side of his mouth like that.
Who was the big fat guy in the 50s? He was about 800 pounds.
Haystack Scalzo.
No.
Man
In
Mountain
50s.
Team.
No, before this is.
Well,
he
we
had
know,
kind of-
we know he's
like-
dead.
Yeah, he's baby something or other. They call him. Kind of a jolly.
The
little-
blimp?
He had overalls.
Bib overalls?
Yeah, if you look at old time. I mean,
That was like Bearcat Wright with a sleeper hold. He put the guy to sleep.
Yeah, where they need a rest, right?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times you can just see they're just both resting. Kind of. Okay.
But
guys
you
ready?
can't get away with that now. You can't get away with rest holds.
Yeah.
Is it because people are just?
Oh, yeah. Fans will start going,
It'll
Yeah.
stop the show.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. All right, let's
You
go.
know who else wrestled me? Mondo Guerrero, Rey Mysterio.
Mondo Guerrero, was that the guy that ate worms?
No, that was the boogeyman.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan. Second trivia question. Which sport did a TV commentator say in the 2008 Beijing Olympics? If history repeats itself, I should think we can expect the same thing again.
I'm going to say gymnastics.
I'll say the only guy I know that doesn't know anything, and that's Joe Buck.
No.
No,
It's
the
which
sport.
Oh, it's sport.
Which
Oh.
sport? Softball.
Softball.
Like I said,
Wow.
these are tough ones. The next
Softball,
one's
no,
going to be
no
kind of a
longer
fun
an
one.
Olympic event, unfortunately.
That's too bad. I mean,
They almost took wrestling out of the Olympics. You know?
Yeah,
Which-
the Greco.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Maybe
All
so
right.
they can make room for pro wrestling. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have in the studio Russell Jackman, aka Buddy Sotelo, and on the phone Eric Shaw. And Russell, you wanted to mention something about the fame. With the
Yeah,
wrestlers.
we were talking about a lot of the wrestlers that are no longer with us, and of course, some of them, had problems, heart attacks and that sort of thing. There's a large number of wrestlers who, unfortunately, commit suicide or get so addicted to drugs that the drug overdose does them in, and a lot of what drives them towards that, I've seen, is the lack of fame.
Are you talking about steroids or other things?
Other
like
things.
cocaine?
It's mostly painkillers. You don't die
Yeah.
from steroids.
No,
you
what
know,
I mean is steroids pushes you to commit suicide.
No, it's
Eventually.
more the painkillers,
Okay.
and obviously the bane of America, which is OxyContin.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
these guys chew OxyContin like it was candy, and then
Mhm.
they mix it a lot with alcohol.
Because they're just trying to deaden the pain
Oh, yeah.
from all the injuries?
Oh yeah, and for a sport that everyone says is so fake,
Predetermined.
thank
That's a
you.
good way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you've ever done martial arts before, when you're sparring with someone that a guy is going to do a particular move, it means that you don't get killed by that move, but it doesn't also mean that that move doesn't hurt.
Listen, I would play paintball, and I got struck with those paintball things, and that hurts.
Yeah.
So I know what you're talking about.
Well, it's different than being picked up by somebody over their head and thrown on a mat that's only about an inch thickness.
And you were mentioning the fact that these guys are not getting enough fame. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're sort of characters. They're getting a certain amount of attention, but it's not enough. It's almost like, we talked about cult figures. A cult figure is really somebody who gets a little bit of attention, but not enough. So a few people know who he is. So it's kind of a colorful way of saying, hey, you're pretty well known.
And how about the guys that don't make it?
Here's one of the things, guys. Listen, if you get hit in the head over and over and over again, your brain gets ruined.
Oh, like football.
Yeah, just like
and
football.
they can't think anymore. They can't concentrate anymore.
Yeah.
That's the major part in wrestling. Drugs is one thing to kill the pain, but the body damage that's done is most important. Why do they call it the Cauliflower Alley Club? You know how they got that term?
From the ears.
From the ears.
Yeah.
You've got those headlocks all the time. You're screwing up your ears. Look at boxers' ears.
Yeah.
Same thing. They get hit on the side of the head. And that's how they promote that, the Cauliflower Alley Club. When you go there, you can see all of those people. They've got the same types of ears. But their brain is finished.
Well, to that point, I wanted to get you guys to comment on the guys that go to these tryout schools, these training schools to try and make it above everybody else, and they don't quite make it. I mean, these are guys, maybe they're in their 20s and they feel like, hey, I'm invincible. I'm in my 20s. Yeah. I can just deal with any kind of injury. But those injuries hurt after a while as you get older. And if you don't make it, I mean, if you use that one shot to make it, which is one of the storylines in the film, Fighting with My Family, that's it.
Well, I got to see that a lot from the wrestling school perspective when I worked at All Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Iron, where you are unfortunately in the business of either making somebody's dreams or breaking somebody's dreams. And when you break somebody's dream, that's not a pretty picture, because people, I mean, it happens in all sports where you have to cut somebody, or you have to say that, you know what, you're through. You don't have what we're looking for anymore. And when you take away somebody's dream and you just dash it, not everyone can handle that very easily. And
do you ever have to have a bodyguard yourself when you tell someone that?
No, but what we've seen is people go incredible declines. Like, for instance, Crash Holly is a good example of that. He was a guy that was wrestling in the WWE. He was a hardcore champion for a long time. He was cut by the WWE, and he went back to independent wrestling, but it was just such a lower echelon for him that the depression drew him to commit suicide.
Why did he get cut?
He just, Vince McMahon is a very capricious person, and things attract him and they unattract him. And today you can be the big star because Vince McMahon thinks you've got what it takes, and then tomorrow he can say, you know what, I'm tired of you.
He's sort of like the Don King of boxing in a way.
That sounds like some of the radio program directors and general managers I've worked for. How about you, Vernon?
Yeah, general managers in the NFL. I mean, when they can recognize talent and what they need. And if they don't need you anymore, and they get maybe a younger, cheaper, high performance model, then they'll just go ahead and make the deal. But I will say this: a lot of times, in your mind, in the wrestler's mind, they think they can do it.
Mm-hmm. They all do.
But the body just does not prevent.
No, but it's a hard thing to come across, and to admit that is especially when you're young. That's very hard to deal with.
Yeah. It is.
Well, if you notice, doesn't the WWE have another federation, so to speak, called Next?
Yes.
Where
the minor
they
leagues.
The wrestlers.
Yeah.
The wrestler is created, and they created talent. He makes it to the WWE. What did that do? That hurt all the wrestling schools.
Oh, yeah.
You had a wrestler, but nobody's promoting you. You're still going to be a nobody.
They should have a senior circuit. Guys in their 60s and 70s.
Who'd want to see that? I remember how they used to have old-time baseball players, and they stopped doing those games because it got to be so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I
do.
I want to get old-time wrestlers to come so they can sign autographs.
Yeah, there you go. That's a different thing.
Yeah, and the WWE
got the older generation to come.
Sure.
Got the younger generation go to the celebrities.
And the WWE does have a senior circuit. It's called the WrestleMania main event, which is Triple H against Batista. Both of those guys are way past their prime. Yep. When the Undertaker gets in the ring, So,
yeah.
Vince will trot out guys that are old, but they're known names that will sell.
Yeah.
But he won't put in someone that's old, that's decrepit, that nobody remembers.
Which reminds me of Hulk Hogan, who I had the pleasure of sitting down to interview before WrestleMania 33. And then when he showed up, I mean, he told me, he goes, man, I got trouble walking sometimes.
Yeah.
And then he went through a 30-second soundbite of the laundry list of injuries that he has had to overcome just to kind of keep going.
How tall is he?
6'5", something like that.
6'6", yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying in Rocky 3, I think they said he was like 7 feet tall. Of course, when you're next to Rocky, you probably did look like 7
Yeah,
feet.
Sylvester Stallone is not a tall guy.
Now, it's interesting you guys are talking about
So you have to shoot him up to make him look taller.
These old-time athletes. I mean, I remember they used to, up until the mid-1980s in baseball, they used to have these old-timer games.
Yeah.
And Joe DiMaggio would always show up, and he wouldn't play. And somebody once asked him, why don't you play, Joe? And he goes, nobody wants to see a 64-year-old guy, stumbling around first base.
No, he's right.
Yeah. And he said, I want people to remember me when I was in my prime, not what I look like today.
Good point.
He retired. How old was
He was only 36.
Yeah.
1951.
Yeah.
His last year was Mickey Mantle's first year. And Mickey Mantle wrecked his knee because he backed off. Joe DiMaggio told him, I got that fly ball, and he backed off and hit his knee in a drain, a sprinkler.
Yeah.
And he never was the same. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
never the same, and that was his rookie year.
I know. Well, I mean, just saying, he had injuries from that point on. His
Yeah.
career was just, undermined by injuries.
Yeah,
So-
but the sprinkler in the outfield at
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium,
Oh.
jumped right over it. Going
Yeah.
after
So,
the
Eric,
ball.
who was your favorite wrestler?
Who was my favorite wrestler?
Yeah.
I don't think, to be truthful, I didn't have a favorite one. I enjoyed the whole show.
Okay.
But one of the best wrestlers in terms of, wow, I got to watch this.
Yeah.
Foley.
Mick Foley, the Mankind.
His body slammed on tacks, thumbtacks.
Go.
Oh,
Over the head with metal chairs.
ouch.
He was known as the king of hardcore.
That's
Ouch.
on
How long ago?
WCW.
He wrote the book Have a Nice Day. Mick
Nice
Foley
Day.
wrote a couple books, but Have a Nice Day is one of the greatest reads you'll ever put your eyes to. If you have the time to read a book, I'd say reading Have a Nice Day is worth reading.
What was the movie that came out just a few years ago? With I think it was Marissa Tomei played the girlfriend, and
The Wrestler.
Oh, The Wrestler.
Yeah, it was called The Wrestler.
Fantastic.
It was up for an
Fantastic.
Academy Award.
Yeah.
And it deserved it.
I hit the nail on the head. My halftime show, I'm going to give an award out, a Hall of Fame award out to a Marine veteran, Who do I want to give the award? Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. That's who it was. Yeah.
People trying to hook up with him. He can be the halftime award, but his wrestler TV, movie was made after my character called Harley Davidson. Magic, what's his name in Texas?
Yeah, it's true.
That's actually going to hopefully be my major celebrity to give out the halftime award.
When are you going to find out if he's going to do it?
Well, I got a lot of friends that know him quite well, so we're trying to work that out right now.
Well, how can you turn down veterans?
Yeah, that is one thing too that we've been seeing. I've been seeing a trend where, not to get overly political, but when the current administration is interested in saving money and cutting money, the first thing he seems to do is go to the veterans and try to reduce the benefits that they're getting and the amount of payment that they're
I mean,
getting.
it's not just this administration. I think every administration.
Well, I've seen a lot of trends to that, and that's why I'm really excited that one thing that we're doing is going to give back to the men and women that have given their lives and their freedom to help protect us.
So how are you guys going to promote? I mean, this show will help, but I mean, we can't do it all. So how else are you going to be promoting it?
Well, part of it is going to be through the networking group that Eric has,
Okay.
and I'm going to be promoting it myself here. But we are going to try to maybe get a little bit of free advertising. Hey, KPIX, if you ever want to do a segment on us, we're up for it. And it's word of mouth. We'll get a lot of people here because there hasn't been a really big show on the independent level here in San Francisco in quite some time.
Well, how about social and digital media? Because that's where a lot of the base kind of roams.
Yeah.
By the way, I have 17 networking groups. This is not one group that meets once a month. From Newport Beach, California to San Francisco, I've got 17 groups. We're all over LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram now because the MBA graduates from Pepperdine called Pepper Masters, has now taken over the marketing side for me to post every day. Check out my fan page, Muscle Rock Madness on Facebook. You can go to YouTube, look up Muscle Rock Madness, see the video. But every single day, through the business community, through the college campus, and through word of mouth, and then the internet is how we're going to promote it for the next 4 months.
Now, how about that, Bruce? Huh? You buying into that?
Why not? It's a really fun show.
I'm half kidding Bruce because Bruce likes the feel of a newspaper in his hands.
I do.
He wants to read stone slates that were chiseled in. He doesn't do anything electronic.
I'm old school.
Yeah.
Someone asked if I tweeted. I said no, but I fart a lot.
Yeah.
That doesn't count, right? Okay. Hey guys, we're gonna cut to our last commercial break. Hey, Eric Shaw. First of all, let's thank you. We're gonna get you off the line, but thank you so much for joining us on Sports Econ 101 today.
Good stuff, Eric.
Hey, before we really hang up, where can we find you on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? Just throw it out there.
Eric Shaw on LinkedIn, all cities, on all the other places with Muscle Rock Madness.
Sounds good.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
All right, my pleasure, guys.
All right, that was fun. Okay, last trivia question is, what sport was once banned in the Soviet Union because it was thought to be harmful to the eyes? At one point, this sport was banned in the Soviet Union because it was thought to be harmful to the eyes.
During the Cold War era.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. See if you know the answer to that question. And don't touch that dial. That's my other show. Sports Econ. What day is today? Sports Econ 101 will be right back with some closing comments.
Tuesday.
I'm gonna do the other show today, and they're gonna.
Well, this is fun. I wish I could do this guy with you guys like every week.
Job.
I love coming in here and hanging out with you guys. And yeah, if we're ready to do a show, it'd be fun if you guys at KPX
where we can help you is if there's any kind of like rehearsal leading up to the show, a couple of wrestlers in there just kind of working their moves, so where we can kind of shoot some of that, some of the signage, some of what's expected. That's how we can help you, because we like to air a story on it before the event hits. That's our thing.
Of course, that would be great.
That's better for you too.
Yes, yeah, no, that'd be great.
And then we have like 16 digital media platforms attached to Channel 5, and that's where we like to.
You're always trying to get a human interest story, right?
Yeah. All the time.
Since we're going to be raising money for vets,
that
would be a good thing too. If it was just a straight profit thing, I could understand you not being interested. But hey, something that can help the vets, I'm all for.
I could see that on TV for sure.
Cool.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host. That means that's the last segment, Bruce. Not the last.
Yeah, Lon Simmons. It's the old joke.
Yeah.
Never say it last time the guy 90 years old.
If you saw the traffic on the freeway, it really could be the last time.
So I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan, and our special guest, Russell Jackman. Okay. Third trivia question was, what sport was once banned in the Soviet Union because it was thought to be harmful to the eyes? You guys are never going to get this.
Skeet shooting?
I was going to say harmful to my eyes has been synchronized swimming. You ever watch that? That'll put you right to sleep.
You ready?
Well, that's because all the action is below the water. I mean, I've tried it. To this day, it is the hardest sport I have ever tried.
Synchronized swimming?
Oh my God!
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine it being hard. Because you can't see it.
5-minute routine, but what they're doing to stay in sync, maneuver and go. There's a reason why they're all doubled over, sucking in wind on the side of the pool when they get out.
Well, that's unbelievable. Isn't that Justin Timberlake's spiel? In sync. Because he's in sync. Okay. Actually, you ready for this? Ping pong.
Ping pong?
I guess getting hit in the eye with a ping
They were
pong
just
ball.
jealous of the Chinese.
That's
right. The Chinese were great at things.
Russell, want to thank you again for joining us here
It's
today.
been a pleasure. I love coming in here.
All right, here's our thoughts for the day. Patience is something you admire in the driver behind you, but not in the one ahead.
Said for a guy who already was here when all the rain was falling on the freeway.
That's
so,
right.
yes.
That's right. And if Cinderella's shoe fit perfectly, why did it fall off? Ever think about that?
Yeah.
Remember at the end of Cinderella, he puts it back up.
Oh,
It's a
sweaty.
perfect fit.
She was running down the steps and slipped right off.
Yeah. All right.
Sweaty feet.
want to again. Hey, look at this, man. We had 5 people on in one show, and it actually worked.
And you held it all together. My goodness.
Is that a record?
That is a record. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And for the audience out there, we only had 4 mics, so thank you, Bruce and Russell, for sharing a mic. You did a fine job.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Howard Cosell.
Howard
All right,
Cosell.
tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
I
All
don't
right.
have these problems in television. Now, would somebody please come on and tell me where the hell I am?
If only
All right,
today's
say
kids
goodbye.
knew how good your impression
I-
was. So.
I just got interrupted by